The day I learned that I fell in love with special effects makeup was back in high school, doing theater productions, working with upperclassmen and kind of putting me under their wing, and having the guidance of my friends and family, and just the encouragement to just tap into this type of specific art form. And I had a immediate reaction, and I took off with it. I grew up very conservative in a religious family, and we were not allowed to watch horror movies of any kind, but we were actually allowed to watch Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings was a huge thing in my life that I grew up watching, and just loving the orcs and the characters and the elves, and falling in love with that fantasy side of things, and just being so inspired by the makeups and watching the special features and just looking at how they created them. It just inspired me so much, and that was a huge stepping stone of what I wanted to do. My first attempt on doing anything special effects wise was actually it was just like wax, and you use wax to just kind of put it on your skin, and then it's skin colored. And I cut a little line and put a little cut up CD case and made it look like a scratch, and glass was in it. And I went downstairs and I showed my parents, and seeing their reaction of ugh, gross, that's disgusting. I was just like, yeah. I love that reaction. I love seeing people so grossed out by my stuff. That's my favorite thing. I decided to take special effects seriously from my beginning to where I am now, just from the encouragement of my family and friends. Without it, I just don't know if I would have been able to just see what I was able and capable to do. Seeing everyone's encouragement really helped me take off to another level. I started researching schools right after high school. Instead of going to a typical route, which is going through college, I flew to California and Hollywood and did my 5 years there. Went to school and started working on indie films, student films, anything. I'd work for free just to get my name out there, and those 5 years really made them count. And after moving here to Atlanta, I got into the union pretty immediately, and since moving here, my career has taken off on a whole new level. So there's a few things that I like to always keep at my station when in regards to safety and hygiene. First up is 99% alcohol. This is good for activating palettes, cleaning your station, and brushes. Second is hand sanitizer. I like to use this brand Jow. It is just a great smelling hand sanitizer. It's not too strong for your talent, and it just does the job. 70 is the most important alcohol to have. It is actually the most sanitizing. It doesn't dry before it actually does the job. 99 flashes off a little too quick. And brush cleaner. Self-explanatory. Make sure all your brushes are clean at all times. You want your clients to feel safe and they're not going to have diseases. With regards to safety, you always want to communicate with your talent what you're about to do, what tools you're going to use, what products you're going to use. You want to make sure that they have no allergies. It's very common that we work with latex, and also a very common allergy is latex. So you want to make sure that your clients or your talent do not have any allergies. And you just want to always just be communicative with them and just make sure they're comfortable at all times. Here's everything that I like to keep on my station in regards to things you need, special effects must-haves. In a typical trailer, you're only gonna have about this much room, but since this is my home, I like to spread it out. First up, you're gonna definitely need an arsenal of airbrushes. This is an Iwata, and it is my favorite. It's an Iwata Eclipse, and I use it almost every single time I do a makeup. Here is two different versions of a Pache airbrush, and it's a little bit for splattering, and you just get different effects with different brushes. I like to keep my brushes in a box like this, just so no splatter paints get all over it. And I like to separate my beauty, my glue, and my character brushes. And here is an example of alcohol palettes. This is what we use for almost everything in special effects. They are activated with 99% isopropyl alcohol, and you can either put it on with a brush, or you can splatter it on with a spatter brush. There's lots of different methods. I like to keep all my liquids in these Nalgene leak-proof bottles, And these are great. They're excellent for traveling. Nothing ever gets through these. I like to keep my edger, my toner, my blood, brush cleaner, anything that might leak out stays in this little home here. And all my disposables, sponges, brushes, combs, little mascara wands, and Q-tips, they all like to go in these little homes here. But when I'm day playing on a production, I usually have them a little bit more cramped in a little toolbox, which I'll show you in a minute. This is a CC cup holder. It's great for make sure things don't just fly off when you're working. They just tend to spill over your station. I like to have palette paper. It just kind of helps, with cleanup, putting it on a palette versus onto a different palette like that. And I like to keep puffs on my station at all times. They're great for powdering and removing makeups. And here's like my little container of all my sealers, my sprays, my skin savers, micellar water, powders, and I keep my tools in here. I have little cuticle scissors and tweezers and all kinds of stuff. And down here I have some other things like blood, glues, and removers. And right here is the piece actually I'm going to show you later. This is actually a shotgun entrance wound, and it's going to go like this on the face. And you can actually see the outline of it, how the nose goes here, the mouth, and the eyes. And then this is the exit wound. It's gonna go on the other side, on the back of the head. And it's all foam latex. So you have to make sure your talent is not allergic to foam. And it's very fluffy, airy, bendable. It's great. Very good stuff. So all of these pieces here, the 5 up here are all aliens, and they're all from this TV show I was on for about 2 years called Legacies. And it was kind of a Monster of the Week show, so every week we have a new monster that tried to kill the kids, and they beat them, kind of like Scooby-Doo. These 2 are from the Star Wars, we had a Star Wars inspired scene, and those are 2 from that. It was really fun. I loved working with all these different monsters, and I really learned a lot on that show. They're all made from slip latex or mask liquid latex, and I painted all of these myself. This guy here is actually a foam latex prosthetic that I just applied to like a mannequin head. I can turn him around for you. I call him my little blueberry muffin. And then this head is actually me. It was made on a form of mold of my head, and then I casted it in silicone. If you can't tell, it's me. That was me when I was 18, so maybe it looks a little younger. Yeah, each hair is individually punched into the silicone. So you can kind of see hair punching. Now I could probably do a lot better because this was my first time doing a project like this. So yeah, that's me. Down here is just my most recent project actually. I call this the Goat Man. Me and my friend Alex did it together. It's 2 foam latex prosthetics, and we actually made the beard that goes along with it. And this one was a great character. The horns, everything was just so much fun to do. And down here, there is these 3 guys, this little burnt corpse, and this character. Both of them are prosthetics that I've glued to the forms. And this one's actually straight from The Walking Dead. I worked on that show for the last season. I was able to keep some of my pieces, so I just glued it straight on there just to have a little memento. And this one's a scalping head, and you can actually move back and forth, and it's really detailed and fun. And usually when I do it, I have a bunch of like slime that comes out, but can't keep that on there all the time. So when you open it up, it's like nasty and sticky all together. So today in my chair, I have my wonderful fiance, Michael, and he is going to become our shotgun victim today. And I'm gonna actually hold it up to his face and show you. It's gonna go a little something like this. It's gonna be over his head, and that's the entrance wound. And the exit wound is gonna be on the other side of his head there. And I'm gonna show you some different techniques so you can get it on his hair without actually using a bald cap. And I always check with him first, see if he has a latex allergy, see if there's any skin sensitivities. And
No, I don't.
Great, and then we're gonna go ahead and start prepping his skin and getting him ready. So when you're doing specifically a shotgun victim, this is actually a great sculpt because it has, the entrance wound has that typical shell casings of a shotgun, and it's very detailed, very meaty. Usually when you see a real life shotgun wound, it's gonna be just a whole lot of blood and not a lot of detail. But it's great when you're doing a character like this to add as much detail as possible, because when you do add the blood, a lot of that detail gets lost. I always look at reference photos. I make sure that this looks like the real thing. It's really important. I know it's scary to look at sometimes, but it's super important to always know what the realistic thing looks like. You have to turn your safe search off on Google, but always make sure you're always looking at the real things, because if you look at a recreation, it's never the same. So yeah, we're gonna start, and I'm excited. So this is the finished product. This is the entrance wound of my shotgun foam latex prosthetic. As you can see, I've added lots of blood. I use thick scab blood to get some of the darker spots. I use red rum orange blood to get some of that orangey color. I used Ampro to kind of give it that sheen, and it wasn't quite as bloody as the back because the bullets have cauterized the wound. And you can see in the back, it's a little bit more bloody, a little bit more gory. Has some hair. I just did the opposite, and you can see in the video, and I stuck the piece onto the back and then brushed his hair over the edges. I had a quick and easy little tip, and then this is back to the front. I consider special effects makeup to be an art form just because it's so unique. People don't really think about it being a medium. You know, it's not typically brought up when you think of art. Beauty makeup and special effects is so different, and there is art to beauty as well. But special effects is just another plethora of design and inspiration and art, for all the way from sculpting. I mean, sculpting is an art form itself. Sculpting these creatures and then molding, like the mechanics of molding a piece that's so detailed, is an art form of itself. Everything from the ground up of making these monsters is an art form of itself. Even just the paints we use, everything is just so detailed, and there's a method and a madness to it, and you really have to learn the right way. And then once you do, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to learn. I really love doing special effects makeup because I love creating characters and making monsters from scratch, all the way up from sculpting and molding, casting, applying, and seeing it to fruition on set. That is just my favorite part, is just seeing it on set, the huge design that you've been working on for months and months, and just seeing it interact and under the lights and the cameras. It's just the best thing. It's the best feeling.